He did it. Canelo Alvarez successfully jumped up 2 weight classes, knocking out Sergey Kovalev in the 11th round to capture the WBO World Light Heavyweight title. Congratulations. Big round of applause. I take my hat off to the young man. He has certainly built a Hall of Fame resume. No question about it. Now, Canelo came out on the front foot from the opening bell, pushed Sergey Kovalev back. That wouldn't have been a massive shock to a lot of people because of the way both men have been boxing in their recent fights. Canelo has been more aggressive in his past few fights than we'd seen him earlier on in his career, where he used to like to box on the back foot a little bit and move around. His past few fights, he's been a lot more aggressive, pushing the pace. I mean, we saw that in the Golovkin rematch. We saw that against Danny Jacobs. We saw that against Rocky Fielding, etc. Whereas Kovalev, in his recent fights, he's been boxing more. He hasn't been the crusher of old. He's been sticking a jab. Not necessarily boxing on the back foot, but certainly keeping it at long range in the middle of the ring. We saw that against Alvarez, Alida Alvarez, that is, in the rematch, and Anthony Yarde in his last fight. But here against Canelo, he was definitely on the back foot. He wasn't really holding center ring. Canelo was applying successful, effective pressure. He was counterpunching very well on the front foot. And it was a case, for most of this fight, it was a case of, do you prefer the quality punches of Canelo or the quantity of Kovalev? Because Kovalev wasn't getting through as cleanly as Canelo was. Anybody with 2 working eyes in their head would have been able to see that. Canelo was definitely landing the better quality work to the body and to the head. His body shots were popping from early on. He was counter-punching very well on the front foot. Kovalev was trying to keep him off with a jab, occasionally mixing in right hands and left hooks himself. But Canelo would either slip the punches or he would block the punches. So even the shots that did get through from Kovalev were always kind of half blocked. So a lot of the steam was taken off him. And Kovalev doesn't punch as hard on the back foot as he does coming forward. Most fighters don't. There are some very gifted fighters who can punch ridiculously hard even when they're moving backwards, but they're few and far between. Most fighters tend to lose a lot of their power when they're moving around and boxing on the back foot, as Kovalev appeared to in this fight. Canelo's investment to the body paid dividends the longer the fight went on, because Kovalev was noticeably starting to tire. He was coming in, starting to clinch more and more as the fight wore on. Between round 7 and 8, I think it was, Buddy McGirt told Kovalev, you can't let him control the pace. And Kovalev understood what he meant by that. Throw some hard shots to keep this guy off. And that's exactly what Kovalev did in the 8th round. That was Kovalev's best round, as far as I'm concerned. Came out in the 8th round, stamped his authority on the fight, and I think he actually stung Canelo in that round. He stung him, because Canelo went walkabout. I know Canelo has gone walkabout in many fights, and it's not necessarily indicative of him being stung by a shot. But in this instance, I think it was. I think Kovalev stung him when he sat down in his shots and started putting more weight into him. And Canelo thought, you know what? Let me get on my bike for a little bit here, because some of them shots were a little heavier than I was expecting. Good round for Kovalev, but couldn't sustain it. Canelo, in the subsequent rounds, went right back to applying pressure, counterpunching on the front foot, hitting Kovalev in the body. Then in the 11th round, we had the breakthrough moment for Canelo Alvarez. I think Sergey Kovalev had a very good poker face in this fight, because I think he was a lot more tired than he made out. I think he was good at concealing his fatigue better than he was in previous fights. Yeah. Now, for me, not only did Kovalev only sit down on his shots in 1 round, which was the 8th, I think Kovalev was lacking strength in this fight. Could that be down to the rehydration clause there apparently was? Possibly. It could also be down to 2 back-to-back camps in quick succession for an older fighter. Right? Kovalev's 36, 37, and he's had some tough fights in his career. The Yarde fight was tough. Did he fully recover from the punishment he took in the Yarde fight? I don't want to take anything away from Canelo at all, but I'm just, talking about what I observed. I observed a guy in Kovalev who didn't really have much energy to sit down on his shots other than in the 8th round. His shots look weak. See, that's another thing as well. is Canelo kept Kovalev under sustained pressure for the whole fight other than in the 8th round. Yarde and Alvarez really didn't. I mean, Alvarez kept Kovalev under pressure, but it wasn't effective. He wasn't as skillful, and I'm talking about Alida Alvarez, not Canelo, obviously. Alida Alvarez kept him under sustained pressure, but it wasn't effective. He wasn't good at counterpunching on the front foot and going to Kovalev's body and all that kind of stuff. And Kovalev was hurting Alida Alvarez a lot more than he was hurting Canelo. Busting him up and stuff like that. His shots had more meat on him, it seemed, in the Alida Alvarez fight. In the Canelo fight, there was not much on Kovalev's shots. Maybe he was more circumspect because of the fact that Canelo's head movement was so good. Maybe he was reluctant to put so much power on his shots as he was against Alida Alvarez because Alida Alvarez wasn't countering so effectively as Canelo. Canelo's countering was tremendous in this fight. Kovalev would throw jabs, and then as soon as he'd let go of a right hand, bang, Canelo comes in with a body shot or a hook to the head. His counterpunching was tremendous. And perhaps that made Kovalev wary of sitting down on his shots as well. Maybe that's why there wasn't much on them. And again, some of it is strategic because he's moving around boxing, but the way he capitulated in the end, yes, great shots landed from Canelo, great knockout in the 11th round, but he did appear to take more from Anthony Yarde. Perhaps Yarde's shots weren't as hard as Canelo's shots were, or Canelo's shots were more accurate on Kovalev's chin. Yarde rallied in the 8th round, whereas Canelo got Kovalev in the 11th. So maybe Kovalev was just more tired by the 11th. But anyway, some big shots went in from Canelo. Kovalev's legs betrayed him. So this was a few seconds prior to the knockout. Kovalev's legs were shaky. Canelo moved in, sensing that his man was hurt, landed a tremendous right hand, bang on the chin, and down went Sergey Kovalev. The way he went down, his body language, the ref knew there was no need for a count. Waved it off immediately. It was the right decision. Kovalev couldn't have got up after a count of 20, never mind a count of 10. And there you have it. Canelo Alvarez becomes a, 4-weight world champion now? And in those particular weight classes, not many people have done it. Been world champion at light middleweight, super middleweight, and now light heavyweight. So, yeah, great stuff from Canelo Alvarez. The most shocking thing about this fight wasn't the fact that Canelo knocked out Kovalev. I picked Canelo on points. The most shocking thing wasn't that he knocked Kovalev out. The most shocking thing is seeing all these people online claiming that Kovalev took a dive. I have to imagine, I can only imagine, that most of them have never boxed. And I'm not talking about having a little move around in the gym with someone else who doesn't know what they're doing. No, I'm talking about actually boxed real fights. I have to imagine most people saying that Kovalev took a dive have never boxed. They're not boxers. Because you cannot fake the kind of body reactions that Kovalev had when he got hit. Even prior to the knockout punch landing, what happened to Kovalev's legs? You can't fake that kind of thing. You would have to be some incredible, physical actor trained up to an Oscar-winning standard to even come close to be able to fake those kind of body reactions in the 11th round of a fight when you've already taken a lot of hard shots, and then you're going to pull out an Oscar-winning acting performance in the 11th round. How completely absurd. I don't know what universe people are living in when they think that that was a dive from Sergey Kovalev. He was obviously hurt, legitimately hurt. You could tell by the way his legs reacted, the look on his face, his body language. Then the big right hand went in, landed bang on the chin. The accuracy of it was perfect. Kovalev went down. Nothing fake about it, no dive or any nonsense like that. It was a legit knockout. Kovalev was weak at that point, yes. That's clear to me. But to me, he was kind of weak all the way through the fight. And I don't just want to put it all down to the rehydration clause, because I don't think a rehydration limit of 185 pounds is that far below where Sergey Kovalev would normally box at on fight night. It might have had some impact on his strength during the fight, but there was also Canelo's body shots. And as I said previously, there was also the fact that he's done back-to-back camps and he's coming off a hard fight against Anthony Yarde. So it was what it was. Kovalev got taken out. I know there are going to be other people who maybe they have boxed, but such big fans of Sergey Kovalev, and they've got such a dislike for Canelo Alvarez that they don't want to accept reality. So they're going to come up with all kinds of outrageous and ridiculous excuses. Oh, he took a dive. There was no dive. There was no dive. Face facts. It was just a legit knockout by the better man on the night and a faded Kovalev, let's be real. Yeah, but a Kovalev who's still a very good fighter, a Kovalev who's still beating world-class opposition. The Alida Alvarez fight was only 2 fights ago. Alvarez a top light heavyweight. And Kovalev dealt with him in good fashion in that fight. So, yeah, great win for Canelo Alvarez. Hall of Fame resume that he's got. And he marches on. Let's see where he goes from here. Let's see who he fights next. There's talk of him taking on some of the other light heavyweight champions. I think Jean Pascal has already called him out. I mean, all of the other light heavyweight champions are going to want a piece of Canelo. Not because they think he's weak necessarily, no, because they want that bag. They want to make the money that Kovalev made. How much did Kovalev make for this fight? It was certainly a career high payday. They want career high paydays too. So they'll all be gunning for Canelo Alvarez. Will he stay at 175 or will he drop back down to a lower weight class? I suspect he'll do the latter, but this was a great win. There's no question about it. Let's not diminish what Canelo Alvarez did here. Yeah, there was a rehydration clause. I get that. And you can't give him as much credit for winning this fight as some of the other greats in the past who jumped up and fought people on a similar level to Kovalev and didn't have a rehydration clause. But still, you have to give him some credit. The rehydration clause was there, but there was no catch weight. There was no Canelo weight like he used to do back in the days. So let's give the guy credit. Tremendous performance, tremendous fighter, and onwards he rolls. Let me know how you guys felt in the comment section below. I've seen a lot of people talking about the scorecards. In fact, what were the scorecards at the time of the stoppage? Okay, 2 of the judges had Canelo ahead by 2 rounds. 1 of them had it even. Now again, there's a narrative going around that Kovalev was just way ahead. That's not the fight I saw. Yes, Kovalev maybe, throwing more shots, but Canelo landing with far greater accuracy and quality. So in those kind of fights, it's who you want to go with. As far as I'm concerned, a scorecard where it's close after those many rounds, I don't have an issue with. Yeah, if you had Kovalev up by a couple, cool. If you have Canelo up by a couple, cool. But Kovalev up by a mile, I mean, do you score punches that land on the gloves? I mean, you tell me, are those punches scoring shots? Or are you scoring the shots that actually land on the chin and the body? You go back and watch the fight again. You see what tell me what you see and tell me what you think. So drop your scorecard. I didn't personally score the fight, but I did feel as though the rounds were close due to the fact that it was quality versus quantity. So anyway, let me know what you guys feel in the comment section below about this fight, about whether or not you thought it was a fix, about whether anything affected Kovalev, the rehydration clause, the tough fight against Yard, the back-to-back camps, age, punishment he's taken in the past, etc. Canelo's body shots, the pressure. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.